Etymology and historical origin of the baby name Juniper. Juniper is the latest tree name turned female name in a long line of forerunners: myrtle, hazel, aspen, olive, magnolia, laurel, and willow, just to name a few. An evergreen tree, the name juniper is borrowed from the Latin iuniperus, meaning bearing juniper berries. However, the word may also be derived from the Latin junio, related to youth, and pario, meaning to spawn, create, hence the notion of an evergreen. The juniper tree has a wide native distribution throughout the northern hemisphere and is known for its twisty trunk, green needles, and its production of fragrant bluish berry seeds used as a flavorful spice. The juniper berry was said to restore and increase health. Ancient people believed in its cleansing properties and burned the berries to purify homes. Native American Indians used the juniper to treat diabetes. The juniper tree was promoted during the Renaissance as a symbol of purity and chastity, as evidenced by Leonardo da Vinci c. 1474 painting Ginevra de Benci. Behind the painting's female subject stands a juniper tree, and on the reverse side is a juniper sprig with the Latin phrase, virtutum forma decorat, beauty adorns virtue. You can visit the painting today at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. For Catholics, the name is also closely associated with Saint Juniper, a disciple of St. Francis of Assisi in the 13th century. We don't know much about him, but he must have been a fun-loving guy. Saint Juniper is known as the renowned jester of the Lord and St. Francis famously quipped, "Would to God, my brothers, I had a whole forest of such junipers." Likeable, humble, patient, cheerful, and devoted, St. Francis referred to St. Juniper as the perfect friar. Californians are familiar with the blessed Junípero Serra, founder of a chain of 21 missions spanning the 500-mile distance from San Diego to Solano, each roughly a day's walk from the next. Junípero Serra, who took his name from the 13th century saint, is known as the Apostle of California and was beatified in 1988. Aside from the obvious association with the evergreen tree and the saintly connections, juniper is also considered an anglicization of the Welsh name Guinevere. Nicknames and pet forms include June, June, Juno, Junie, Junebug, and Jenny. Personality of the girl named Juniper. The 3 energy is powerful and enthusiastic. These personalities are cheerful, full of self-expression, and often quite emotional. They have an artistic flair and gift of gab that makes them natural entertainers. Their joyfulness bubbles over, and their infectious exuberance draws a crowd. The 3 personality is like a child, forever young and full of delight. They are charming, witty, and generally happy people. The 3 personality lives in the now and has a spontaneous nature. 3 seem to live with a bright and seemingly unbreakable aura that attracts others to them. In turn, they are deeply loyal and loving to their friends and family. Luck also has a tendency to favor number 3s. Popularity of the girl named Juniper. It appears that Juniper is a female name used only in the United States, although the U.S. tends to influence Canada and Australia eventually. Brand new to the charts, Juniper suddenly appeared at position number 970 in 2011. It's not to say that Juniper hasn't been used prior, but 2011 marks the first year ever that the name was used with enough frequency to land a spot on the top 1,000 list, meaning at least 250 babies receive this moniker annually now. Aside from the important masculine saints associated with the name Juniper, Americans were introduced to the possibilities of a female Juniper thanks to the 1993 romantic comedy film Benny and June, in which Mary Stuart Masterson co-stars as the offbeat Juniper June Pearl. Later in 2005, the Cartoon Network debuted an animated series called The Life and Times of Juniper Lee, featuring another female character named Juniper, this time a delightful 11-year-old Chinese-American girl with magical powers. Furthermore, as tree names come back into vogue, Juniper is a natural addition to the female naming charts. We also think juniper has some rugged Wild West flavor thanks to presence of juniper trees in the western United States, plus the impact Junípero Serra had on early California. The interesting thing about juniper is that it's a name that grows on you. At first glance, there's a temptation to resist it as yet another arbitrary name invention. But underneath the surface, this is a name that has a lot going for it. There is some natural confusion with Jupiter when you say or spell juniper, but this may be a burden worth carrying for such an offbeat, quirky name. Since the juniper tree was also a Renaissance symbol for female virtue, it may be a name to consider for baby girls born under the Virgo sun sign, the sign of the Virgin. Quick facts on juniper. Gender, girl. Origin, English. Number of syllables, 3. Ranking popularity, 648. Pronunciation, Jonper. Simple meaning, juniper tree and evergreen tree. Characteristics of juniper. Optimistic, social, communicative, dramatic, happy, creative, popular. Cultural references to the baby name, Juniper. Literary characters of the baby name Juniper. Brother Juniper is a main character in Thornton Wilder's Pulitzer Prize-winning 1927 novel, The Bridge of San Luis Rey. Juniper is a Franciscan monk making his way toward the suspension bridge in Peru on a day in 1714, when the bridge suddenly collapses, sending 5 people plunging to their deaths. Juniper takes it upon himself to investigate the lives of all 5 in a doomed effort to demonstrate God's omniscient plan for human souls. This 6-year project, resulting in a large book, is condemned by a church council, and both Brother Juniper and his book are burned for heresy. But Juniper's quest was larger than they allowed, and the ultimate truth he came upon was, as another character observes, that the connection among all souls is that of love. Popular songs on Juniper. A song by No Venable, Juniper, a song by Donovan, Jennifer Juniper. Famous people named Juniper. Junípero Serra, known as the Apostle of California, Saint Juniper, 13th century Franciscan.